Are we live? Are we good? Can anyone hear me? Oh, whoops. Yes, but ever so barely, I guess. Let's turn that up just a little bit. Okay, I think that's better. Mm. Get going here in just a moment. I want to make sure all my audio and stuff is good. And for whatever reason, caps lock is stuck on because why not? Uh, okay, I believe we're good. Oh, it has been a minute since I have done this, and I gotta say, I am not doing a full shave ever again. I have such a fat face. Such a fat face. Anyway, um, anyone who doesn't know, I'm streaming from the new house. I have actually recorded a couple of videos from here already. We moved from Clay, New York to Franklin, Kentucky, um, which is interesting because flying here usually takes anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours, depending on excuse me. It depending on sorry, gonna have some brief playback there for a minute. Um, yeah, it takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours to fly, depending on the weather. And driving was 12 and a half hours of pure agonizing torture. Getting all my stuff out there. Come on. Sorry, cross posting. Let's see if it actually shows up. Anyway, yes. So, about 12 and a half, 13 hours driving. And the reason why it sucks is because, um, A, we are now in central time zone. So, that change in time was really weird. It felt like we were driving a longer. Um, we got stopped in 3 traffic jams. One of them was between Bowling Green and Franklin, and that stopped us for the longest time. I'd say that stopped us for probably a half an hour, maybe longer. We got a brief stop, I think, right around Ohio, right around Cincinnati, and then we had another stop just as we got through Nashville. So, driving was not the greatest. I had 2 cats in the car as well as my kid. My wife was driving the U-Haul, and we were communicating the entire time on walkie-talkie. And I'm so thankful we had the walkie-talkie. The walkie-talkie had to have made this it made it so much easier to communicate. Otherwise, we would have been on our phones the entire time. And I'm really thankful at the end of the day that we ended up doing this. We could have gone with a moving company. I was given a very rough quote on these people. These are the guys that literally will come in, help you pack, move you, bring everything there, set them up, and basically you're paying for the truck rental, the gas, the insurance, the supplies, their staff and hourly, and Yeah. So, had we had done that, we'd obviously would have had to pay a lot more. But, um, that was the way we wanted to do it. I've talked about in one of my recent videos that we the process during the move was very traumatic. It was very, very traumatic. Um, oh my gosh. Responding to a buddy's post. So a sequel to Twister could happen soon, and I put Twister calm before the storm. Someone replied to me, Tiger Nado, the one where Joe Exotic ropes the tornado. I'm like, no, I'm good on Tiger King. I don't think we need any more Tiger King. Um, but yeah, I talked about in that video how it was a very traumatic event because I wanted to be on the road about 4:30, 5 o'clock. We actually didn't leave until almost 9. So, um, had knowing that, I probably would have paid the extra money for the moving company, but I'm glad some family was able to come and help, and we got to see them before we met. Before we moved. So that said, yes, here in Kentucky now, really liking it. Definitely different living down here than in New York. As far as scenery goes, I'd say it's pretty on par, pretty close to where I live. Now, whenever I tell people I live in New York, they automatically assume I live somewhere near New York City. Unfortunately, that is not the case. No, sorry, not unfortunately, fortunately, because I have been in New York City one time, technically twice, if you consider the fact that I had to go to JFK to take a plane to London, and I had to land back in JFK, and then drove the 4 hours back home. Um, I did not have the greatest first impression of New York City, and I'm very thankful I did not live there. I don't know if I could with the amount of traffic, the amount of people. Um, it's a very congested area. You definitely have to be used to that kind of you have to be used to that kind of like life. You have to. You have to you have to be cool with living in that kind of environment all the time. Oh boy. Catching the occasional stuff on Facebook. Anyway, so I just realized I don't have a drink. This is gonna be difficult, but I got my boy right here with me. Ain't that right, Apollo? Ain't that right, buddy? Oh, I'm sorry. This is nap time. This is nap time for Apollo. Excuse me. So, what I mean by it's the same, it's that it's farmland. I lived right down the road, or I should say, on the same road as like a major route. However, a lot of it was farmland. Um, and where I live now, it's pretty similar. I mean, I'm about a half a mile from like a main stretch of road, and that's where all of like the schools are. That's where the historical district of Franklin is. That's where all the major store and then once you go like 5 minutes down, start going south, I believe, that's when you start hitting all of the other that's when you start hitting like the big stores like the Lowe's, the Walmarts, um, Tractor Supply, stuff like that. Um, However, if you start going north toward Bowling Green, about 30 minutes away, it's just nothing but there's like a mall, 2 streets worth of nothing but stores and shopping and places to eat, and it's really cool. Same where I used to live in New York. It was about a half a mile from a main route and about 20, 30 minutes away from like the mall in the downtown area. With that said, the area around here has a little more class than where I was. So definitely glad. Definitely glad. Definitely happy. All right. So that's what's going on with that. Um I was gonna do this in my game room setup. However, I gotta take care of some minor wiring issues before before I stream in there again. Nothing major, just whoever worked on the electrical got the polarity mixed up. I did check it, it's fine. It just, there's obviously a chance of like a minor shock or you could overload something. However, I'm being very smart on anything I have to occupy and using surge protectors for now, and I'm keeping that input very minimal. So the house we moved into is the original house we moved in was about 100 years old. It's let's see, it had about 1,200 square feet. It was a two-story house with one bathroom on the main floor, which sucks if you wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom. But we made it work. It's fine. Here it's closer to 1,800 square feet. I have a detached garage that has three different areas to it. I'm not even utilizing the other two at the moment. It has a carport that's in between the back door and the garage. It's a single story ranch home where they actually repurposed the old garage to be the master bedroom, which is probably one of the biggest rooms in the house. Next, of course, to the living room and the semi-attached dining room area. And we love it. We're in a great area. The neighbors are super nice. The number one question I get asked is if I have seen Confederate flags, and I'm like, no, you got to go a little further south for that. Kentucky is not your. It's not where you got to worry about all of those and like people playing Dixie on every speaker. Even then, I imagine it's not too bad. Like that's deep south, like that's Alabama, I think. But no, definitely not Kentucky. All right, so let's get into. I'm discovering some widgets here. All right, cool. Let's get into some news. Let's get into some news. Let's talk about the Bayonetta controversy. Um, I originally had done a video on this. Um, but unfortunately, I was having massive problems with the recording software I was using, so I had to completely scrap that. So I'm doing it here. So I think every Monday or Tuesday I'm going to be doing a breakdown, which is just like a recap of stuff that's happened over the week, talking about whatever. Forewarned, it could be about video gaming, it could be about wrestling, it'll be about whatever the heck I want it to be because this is my channel and I'd like to have a lot of fun doing what I do. So let's talk about the Bayonetta controversy. Well, I was made aware of this by other channels. This came originally from videos that I had seen from RGT85. I just want to shout out him. Anyone who does watch this, if you're not subscribed, go and check out his channel. Dude does tons of gaming content. Very well done, very well articulated thoughts and opinions on the things that he shares. And I'm really happy for the success that he's done for himself. I remember years ago when I was part of like another or I guess it would be this it was an earlier iteration of a Facebook group we're in now. And he and his friends were doing very well for themselves on YouTube. And I knew him back when I think he had like a fifth of the audience that he had. And it's just great to see him do well for himself. So, buddy, if you're seeing this, congrats, brother. I really do hope you get to 1 million someday. But he did a video on this, and I wanted to talk about it. So, Bayonetta 3, I'm reading an article from MSN, I believe. Over the weekend, in a shocking, first of all, this was done yesterday at 1:00 in the afternoon. Okay, so over the weekend, in a shocking series of videos shared on Twitter, Helena Taylor, Helena Taylor, Bayonetta's original voice actor, shared that the reason she did not return for Bayonetta 3 was because of an insulting offer for the role. As a result, she's asking fans to boycott the game, which releases on October 28th, so in 10 days. She did this on October 15th. So she just did this 3 days ago on her Twitter, sharing the details of her years of experience and training. And then a quote, and what they think this was worth. She said in the video, the final offer to do the whole game was $4,000 US. She called the offer, quote unquote, an insult to me, and asked fans to boycott the game and donate the money they intended to spend on Bayonetta 3 to charity. In subsequent videos, Taylor said she made the statement to stand in solidarity with people all over the world who do not get paid properly for their talents. Talk about that in just a minute. She talked about the effect the offer had on her and her mental health, worrying about her losing her housing and I ideations of suicide. Okay. Comes Taylor's revelation comes amid a climate in which voice actors are increasingly sharing how little they're paid on some of the entertainment's most popular characters. Here's someone who said they got paid $150 to voice a character on the anime Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. Other voice actors expressed some concerns. Okay. Um, she went on to say, Taylor went on to explain how in her native Britain, there's a cost of living crisis that nurses going to food banks to feed their children. I will confirm, had actually gone to the UK. I can tell you that it is very expensive to live there. Very expensive. Their pound is almost twice the US dollar. I mean, that was back in 2012. I don't know how that holds up today, but I mean, if it was expensive then, I can't imagine how expensive it is to live there now. Well, Fat Cat's at the top and leave the rotten crumbs noted that, according to her estimation, the Bayonetta franchise has made $450 million. That is over the course of, upon its creation, its sequel, remakes and re-releases, and X, Y, and Z. The Verge has reached out to Nintendo after publishing the game and Taylor for an official comment, but he's yet to hear back. However, a creator, Hideki Kamiya, decided to go full edgelord and put on his Twitter, sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now. By the way, beware of my rules. So yeah, this dude is hardcore. You don't want to mess with him. Oh God, I hate how Twitter has turned people into such massive parasites for attention. Taylor went on to say she doesn't fear potential legal action regarding any breach of NDA because she can't even afford to run a car, and that she had written to Kamiya himself to express her dissatisfaction, but based on this guy's response, I could probably tell you he didn't care. I'm just jumping around here. She said that his response seemed complimentary of her skills, and that fans were eager to have her return to the role, only to then offer her 4,000 some. In an early October interview with Game Informer, the director said it was various overlapping circumstances that prevented Taylor from reprising her role, which is probably their way of protecting her and not making her sound like a money grubbing, person. Taylor is best placed to. What is it? Okay, so then goes on to say that it was now done by Jennifer Hale, best known for her work as Commander Shepard on Mass Effect, which she did awesome, by the way. I can't really speak on Helena's because I'm not overly familiar with the work. I have not really played Bayonetta. I did once, but it was a long time ago. I actually have the dual pack of that and Vanquish. I really should try that. It's somewhat ironic that Hale is Taylor's replacement, given that Hale's numerous video games credits include Overwatch and Ratchet and Clank, as well as her myriad animated TV show and film roles, mean she would most likely command an even higher salary than Taylor. Hale has not commented on the situation, but as likely several tweets suggest she cannot comment for NDA reasons. that she didn't potentially know Taylor's situation when accepting the role and praised for Taylor's work. Yeah, I imagine Hale's not going out of her way to bury the woman. Okay. So that's one source. That's one source. Okay. Let's dissect this. And I'm going to do my best to not step all over RGT in his comments cuz he did really well. I will say this. I will say this and I'll be as honest as I can about the situation in regards to the Bayonetta controversy, okay? At the end of the day, voice acting is a skill that requires talent and dedication. It's not something anyone can go into. I know that firsthand. I know I've spoken with people both in person and through the internet. It's not something that anyone can do. There's a lot of rejection, a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of work to that goes into it. It's also a it's also a field that does not get the respect that it deserves, and it does not pay as much as people would like. With that said, I have also seen various reports that average a voice actor's salary somewhere in the vicinity of $200 going as high as four to $500. I keep checking my phone. I feel I keep hearing Messenger go off. I don't know why. So let me ask most of the people: do you work a job that pays $200 an hour to just read a script into a microphone? It must be really, really nice to be able to be that good at your job to where you can get that kind of pay. Now, I don't know that $4,000, I don't know how long a time that would cover. I mean, honestly, if we're talking like weeks and weeks, I mean, obviously, then we have to start talking about, maybe more pay. But at the same time, I also know people who bring in like $1,000 a week, working 50, 60 hours a week. And we're talking about someone who I clearly is not putting in that kind of work. I mean, Bayonetta is not, I don't think, I know it's an action focused game and I know there's dialogue in the game, but last I checked, it's not like they have over 20 to, I'll be fair and say over 30, 40 hours of just dialogue spoken, like cinematic moments. And obviously the stuff you're hearing during combat is like one and done, I would assume. But with that said, with that said, she has every right to walk away from that. I will not take that away from her. Helena is absolutely right. My apologies if it's Helena. Based on its pronunciation, or I'm sorry, on how it's spelled, I want to say it's Helena. Um, Based on that, I'm just gonna adjust that ever so slightly. Based on that, she was absolutely right for refusing. That's her job. That's her prerogative. She can walk away. That's fine. Good on her. I don't necessarily care. Um, that's her right. Um, with that said, with that said, um, I'm looking for the next. I'm looking for the next bet. All right. Okay. Oh, would you look at that? Why is it so difficult finding what I need? Oh my god. No, let's bring up that article of wow. Okay. So that's what I was doing before. Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that. So that said, she completely unprovoked, just decided to make this whole thing happen. She went on her Twitter, released a video talking about her years of experience working in all of these different places with these great people. And they offered her 4 grand for her work. Again, I have no idea what kind of work that entails. I would assume 4 grand is not going to be is not going to be for like that long of work. Most people don't get 4 grand in 1 month's work, so I would assume it can't be for that much longer. It can't be. It can't be. Anyway, let's let's break this down. She went on Twitter and decided herself that she was going to come out and just bash them for their amount of money that they offered her. She was not provoked in doing this at all. This is completely on her own on her own 2 feet. Excuse me. That's what happens when you just have coffee in the morning. Um, went on to insult them. Made it about her own personal well-being, both financially and mentally, and then proceed. And this is my favorite part. I'm gonna pull that. I'm gonna pull that part up again. Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah. And then went on to talk about the effect the offer had on her and her mental health, worrying about losing her housing and ideations of suicide. Okay. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and insult the woman if she does suffer from having issues of that nature. My heart does go out to her. With that said, no one told you to make the video, lady. No one told you to go out there and essentially draw first blood, which is exactly what you did. She made it personal by internalizing the offer as somehow that was her overall worth, I guess. And if that were the case, renegotiate. I mean, you are the voice of the main character. I mean, she said that it was the final offer. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how much stock I'm putting into that comment. However, I will say this. I often notice that people who go out of their way to make comments like that and trash other people first, I have to dig a little deeper because we also do live in the area of cancel culture and people's lives being ruined based off of one side of the story. So, first of all, if this was her only job, I mean, are you not getting paid for anything else? Is this your only job? Is it the she said I read in another article she was referring about how she's standing in solidarity for the whole living wage thing. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And it's not up to these people to have to sit there and look at how much you're paying on your mortgage, on your car, on your insurance, on your standard weekly costs, whatever your bills. It's not up to them to have to take to be it's not their responsibility to have to take care of you on that regard. You chose to go to school for a very specific field of study of voice acting. Now, if you're really good at it, it can be a really good career. With that said, know your worth, know what you're going for. If you feel like a job is not giving you what you're worth, then don't do it or renegotiate. If they don't give you what you want, walk away from it. What I have the problem with is when these people internalize it and feel like it's their option to or their time to shine, the virtue signal to the masses for everyone to see and hear, to get all of the blue check marks on Twitter, to come and rally to their defense. And when I checked this the other day, this woman's video response had over 240,000 likes. 240,000 accounts. I say accounts because I don't think all of them are human. All agreeing with her. Boycott that company because they didn't pay me how much I would pay myself. They made what was the next comment? Uh, has made over $450 million. When did the first Bayonetta come out? It came out October 29th, 2009, so almost 13 years ago. Almost 13 years ago has made over $450 million. Um, and it was re-released. I want to say it was re-released for the double pack. I want to say like at least twice, once on the Wii U and once on the Switch, right? I mean, I could be wrong on that. Anyway, uh, sorry, I'm like all over the place. So 13 years made 450 million in total, and that's not counting the sequel. I'm assuming that the bulk of the money um has just come from the first two games coming out, and has come out and it has also been re-releases, I believe, for Wii U and Switch and other consoles. So I have to ask the question, was this attempt supposed to work out in her favor, where people understand like the plights of your suffering, I guess? I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm also sick and tired of hearing this stuff. Like, you got people who are they're just trying to make a game. They hire people to work on it. They hire people to market it, people to manage, people this, that, the building that they have to pay, they have to pay the bills, they have to pay the insurance, they have to pay all this stuff. And then you got people like this who just come out of the woodwork and make everything about them and their living conditions and their struggles. And it's like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. It I've always been, when it comes to my personal expenses and stuff like that, I've been very private, because why would anyone else feel like they have to openly discuss stuff like that unless they're looking for attention? Apparently this woman is very very prestigious in what she does, so I don't understand why she's making it sound like this one thing was enough to ruin her life. Um with that said, the biggest thing I have is I don't understand how anyone can sit here and say, um, what was it? I want to find the exact quote. It's on MSN. She called the insult an offer to her and asked fans to boycott the game and donate the money they intended to spend on Bayonetta 3 to charity. She then later went on to say, she talked about the effect the offer had on her mental health, worrying about losing her house and the ideations of suicide. $4,000 to voice act the character, and this woman is seriously worried about the latter. I can't imagine it would have been for that much amount of work, but seriously, $4,000 to sit in a recording booth and read lines into a microphone. I can't imagine it's a very difficult job. So that kind of pisses me off too, because I could also go on and talk many other stories about people who legit lost their jobs, who worked in trades, and because of the situations with COVID, they had legit genuine fears that they were not going to be able to work again because everything was shutting down. It must be nice. Uh, she later went on to talk about the cost of living, where she lives. Uh, there was one part in here that really stuck out. Okay. No, 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 no. Taylor explained that she understood folks who do not wish to participate in the boycott, but urged those who care about how people are treated to spend their money elsewhere. So she's talking about her livelihood and how she was basically worried about her life being threatened because of the low money she was being offered. And stand in solidarity and donate your money to charity instead of paying for the product. stand with her and stick it to the man. Okay, well, here's my question. What about the people who are not the man? The other 99% of people who actually work for these companies. I'm talking about the people who do coding, the people who develop the game, the other voice actors who aren't going to be getting paid nearly as much as you. What about the people who are the entry level worker who are just trying to make a living? The hypocrisy here is you're complaining about how you're getting paid a low amount to do a specialized job, and in turn asking people to not give them money for the final product despite you walking away from the offer and declining it. They didn't force you into it. That was their offer. um And then now you're over here talking about how it affected your mental health, and how it really messed you up, and talk about your ability to pay your living wages and how people need to get by, and making that this was going to be her hill to die on, while also simultaneously saying don't go out and spend money on the product, which in turn is going to affect other people who work within that company. Because remember, if they don't make that money, they don't work. You may think, oh, once the job is done, they go home. No, I'm talking, these are people that still have to work within the company on other games, who still have to work as far as patches and updates and things like that. Does that not affect their livelihood? Have we not seen layoffs from Sony and other different companies and Blizzard and EA over the past couple of years because of low sales? And it's always the people normally at the bottom who I think would suffer the most. Yeah, sure, some upper level guys might have to step down if they really have to stop the bleeding. But do you not understand the hypocrisy there? I want to get on board these conversations with people who talk about living wages, but in the same time, it's like you're trying to appeal to the average person you're worried about the average person who is just getting by. Okay. But in turn, you're telling them to participate in action that is going to affect their income and put them in that same situation that you were worried about. Yeah, I can't get on board with that. It's controversy in the sense that yes, the industry can be doing better to take care of the employees. However, I don't know where all that money is going, and I'm not going to sit here and tell them what they should do with it. However, I will also say that when you go out of your way, like completely intentional, unprovoked, out of your way to just go after this company because for attention, you're looking to virtue signal, you want people to have eyes on you, because I also think part of it's going to be she wasn't gonna reprise her role as she wasn't gonna getting tongue tied here. She wasn't gonna come back for the third game, and that probably scared her to death because she realized, oh crap, I'm not getting paid for it, and I'm not gonna get the name recognition for it. So yeah, I hate to break it to you, but it goes right back to that classic line of "Don't start nothing, won't be nothing." And as far as that salty edge lord on Twitter calling her out, it's like, now you know my rule, or what was it? What was it? Beware of my rules, dude. Stop. I actually think he was sent home. I want to say I saw some kind of article about how he got sent home. Oh god, that'd be hilarious. That would be absolutely hilarious. Um, oh god. I can't find it right now. I'm not gonna worry about it. But with that said, yeah, just it, do what you want. If you want to pay for the game, pay for the game. If not, don't worry about it. It's just like the whole J.K. Rowling's thing, where people are uh, where people are wanting to boycott Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling's comments that she had made in regards to the LGBT community. And that's an entirely different situation. I'm not gonna deep dive into it. However, I will say if I'm like me buying the product in no way is me taking a stance on something, and I think we need to get away from that line of thinking. It's very, very negative, very toxic, and it's very degenerative because we've officially gone from agree to disagree or allowing to have people within our own little inner circles to have differing opinions, but you're all still friends, to 100% total tribalism, and I'm not for it. So, no. Pay for the game if you want. If you don't want to, that's on you. They're going to make money off people no matter what. I actually think they're probably going to make. I don't want to say they're going to make more money, but I definitely think that otherwise, people who have been stale on the product might want to come back and support it. Mainly because I'm familiar with Hale's work, and I am a fan. And clearly, she didn't have a problem with the money she got. So maybe some people's cost of living is just too high for other studios to worry about. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's get into the main event. Let's talk about G4 TV. Let's talk about the inevitable. I'm going to pull up some other stuff. Give me a moment. Um, I don't have Twitter at the moment. So, wow. Give me one moment here, folks. I'm trying to pull up the tweets from. I'm trying to pull up some really interesting stuff. Oh my god, no way. Oh, okay, that was not unrelated. Sorry. Trying to find my stuff. Give me one moment here, folks. To anyone watching or anyone who will be watching later. Oh my god. Boy, this does not want to give me what I'm looking for. Um Wow, he's such a dick. He's such a dick. No, 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 no. No, I didn't tell you to do that. Thank you. God, he is such an asshole. All right, so I'm looking at Adam Sessler's Twitter feed. The dude is such a prick. Um, so G4 TV has officially shut down, much to the chagrin, if you will, of its many fans. No, no. Um, I'm trying to get more analytics. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna find what I'm looking for right here. That's fine. All right. Moving on. Moving on. So G4 TV officially done. It was announced yesterday that from the CEO. Let me pull up the article to get the guy's name. The CEO Dave Scott forwarded a memo to active employees announcing their shutdown. A handful of workers have been affected by the news. G4 TV declared that they will be working to provide some internal solutions to the untimely layoffs. Um, it relaunched in November of 2021, so they hadn't made it a year. The content set to be aired on the channel was the comedy gaming series Scott the Woz. However, since re-releasing itself, the broadcast company has not done very well financially, resulting in Comcast pulling the plug. Yes, in less than a year, they have not been able to manage 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and I mean that doesn't affect for their immediate channel and whatever revenue they're bringing in from there. Here's the full memo from Dave Scott. Team, as you know, G4 was reintroduced last year to tap into the popularity of gaming. We have invested to create the new G4 as an online and TV destination for fans to be entertained, be inspired, and connect with gaming content. Yeah, inspired and connect with gaming content. Very difficult to do that when one of your hosts decides to go on completely supported tirades. Over the past several months, we have worked hard to generate that interest in G4. No, you haven't. But viewership is low, and the network has not achieved sustainable financial results. This is certainly not what we had hoped for, and as a result, we have made the very difficult decision to discontinue G4 operations effective immediately. I know this is very disappointing news, and I'm disappointed too. He's probably the most disappointed. Living proof that nostalgia cannot stand the test of time in all cases. I want to thank you and everyone on the G4 team for the hard work and commitment to the network. Our human resources team is reaching out to you to provide you with support, probably therapy, or discuss other opportunities that may be available and answer questions you may have. That's all HR legality nonsense. That's just their way of trying to basically say, we want to make sure we're not going to get sued. Thank you for all your hard work. Sincerely, Dave Scott. Okay. There's a lot to dissect here, and I'm here's the deal. Here's the deal. A lot of people think that the thing that killed G4 was Frost's rant, her sexism in gaming rant. We all know it. We've all heard it. I'm not going to sit here and repeat it. I'm not going to play clips. I've seen it enough times. I'll be honest. I have seen it so many times. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see this anymore. I've seen it. I know what's going on. This was not what killed G4. G4 killed G4. G4 is the end result of not getting with the times. Remember, this was content that was available, I want to say, in the very late 90s, right to the early 2000s. It was the only source of content that gamers could could watch, but it wasn't as widely accessible. Remember, YouTube didn't become a thing until I think like 2005. So when I found out that G4 was coming back, out my reaction was, "Oh, okay, cool." I watched some G4 back in the day. I didn't think it was the greatest thing in the world. I thought it was cheesy. I'm like, these are people who are clearly just trying to get to the gamers. So that was G4's problem. It was the fact that they literally had nostalgia on their side. They had all of that going for them, but the product sucked. The product sucked, and it wasn't getting any better. And then we get to Frost's rant, which I'd say was the the point of no return. Because from that point on, what that said to the average person watching was, um, we're doing things the way we want to do it. If you don't agree with it, you support it, or you're perpetuating it and don't watch it. That right there is the kiss of death when it comes to business. If you don't like it, don't watch it. By the way, we're trying to appeal to a market from 20 years ago, which we're only going to get so much now from like all of the millennials. We'll be lucky if we get the Gen Z crowd in here to watch this, because everyone's plugged into whatever they're doing on various other platforms with other YouTubers and Twitch streamers. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. So they basically drew the line in the sand. Frost went on her little rant because she let people in her chat piss her off so much that she had to stop what she was doing to address them. I can honestly say right now that after my years of moderating live streams and being a part of live streams, the one thing you don't do is you give focus to the people who are deliberately trying to derail your live stream. You're doing exactly what they want. You're giving them attention. That's what they want. That is their sad life that these people will do, is that they will go out of their way to just ruin whatever it is you're doing. There is no way that was the massive majority of that live stream. I can guarantee that. With that, I will also say the way they had their live stream set up on YouTube was garbage. You had to follow the channel for a certain period of time before you're even allowed to talk. Now, I don't remember if that was behind a paywall or if, just like with Twitch, you there are times where you have to follow for a certain amount of time and then you can talk on their Twitch stream to try to filter out the would-be trolls. But it's so freaking annoying. It's so annoying. It's so annoying that this is where we are as a people, that we just allow people who are deliberately trying to get a reaction out of you. And then not only do you give it to them, but then you make comments that are going to further divide your audience. I remember watching the first when she did her rant, and I'm like, the one gentleman on her, I believe her left, not the completionist. He's sitting here cheering her on. Gerard, the completionist, the guy who was sitting in the chair, he looked like a weird combination of like he was interested in what she was saying, but also at the same time completely and utterly shocked that she was doing it. Kind of like the deer in the headlights look that Mike Myers had when Kanye West made his comments about George Bush during that Live Aid telethon they did for Hurricane Katrina victims. And then you got people cheering for her in the background, and she's pissed off, and she's like, "Oh, people just hate me because I'm a woman." And then she went on to say, "And people hate me because I'm not as bangable as the other female hosts that used to be on this show." And then she went on to say it's like Morgan Webb and Olivia Munn didn't exist to be easy on the eyes. And I'm like, did you not watch the show? That's exactly what they were there for. They publicly even acknowledged that. Like, that was the running joke with Olivia Munn. They had segments dedicated to the fact that people were watching just because she was hot. That was they were laughing at it and running with it. They've deliberately come out and said that that's what they were doing. Now, I'm not going to comment too much on that because I don't believe that women solely exist to be in these sorts of mediums to be just eye candy. So she does have some point, but it completely misses the point of what early G4 was. I mean, they literally had segments where Olivia Munn was basically sitting on a couch with nothing on and all blurred out. I'm sure she had something on. And I'm like, of course you're trying to appeal to the male demographic because most gamers at that point were men. Obviously it's changed now and times have changed and you don't really see it all that much. But gaming also exists outside the whole realm of sex. And I don't mean sex or gender, I mean the idea of the physical act of sex. Yes, there is sexual content in games, but we're outside of it now because you're seeing more females enjoying the product. With that, kind of getting past that. And then you got Adam Sessler, who is seal clapping everything that she is saying. So right off the bat, they made this political. And what I mean by they made it political is she went out there and she wanted to have her feminism rant to try to appeal to the people that she worked with, because I guarantee you she was reading that live stream and becoming she was getting pissed off. Maybe she was getting offended, maybe she was feeling insecure. I don't know, but I will say this. After that point, it was downhill from there. After that whole content about, how she's not looked at equally because she is a woman, and it wasn't about the funny thing is that it had nothing to I don't think it had anything to do with like sexism in gaming. It was about the fact that she was pissed off that she felt like she wasn't being taken seriously as previous female hosts, or making comments that talk about how no one will take her seriously even though she's reading the same script that otherwise a man would read. And to which I say, it's because no one knows you. I'm sorry, nobody the only person I know on that is Gerard, the completionist, and that was because I've been following him for the beginning of his career. I don't know who Frosk is. I don't know who the Black Hokage is. I don't know who they are. I find it ironic that the Black Hokage, that guy, um, I find it very funny, and that is the username he goes by. I am not saying that based so I'm not based saying that on the color of his skin. That is the name he goes by when he used to live stream. Um, I find it funny he's sitting there cheering her on when he's talking about when she's going on her little sexism rant. Yet the stuff that this guy has openly said on previous live streams, it borderline made me sick. I'm not going to repeat it. I encourage people to go and research and find out for yourself. But whatever. That's the past. If watching Cobra Kai has taught me anything, it's that anyone can change. So from that point on, it was just a constant slew of mediocre content in an ever-growing era of gaming. You got Twitch, you got YouTube, and they just would not get with the times. They wouldn't it didn't expand, it didn't get better. I wasn't excited to watch anything that they were doing. Anything that was gaming related, it barely made a blip on the radar. I mean, for God's sakes, you got people in the thousands watching Maximilian Dude do like he would live stream anywhere between 8 and 15,000 people, and that was just for when he was doing the beta of Street Fighter 6. I watch another guy and Chilled Chaos on Twitch. He averages around 8,000 people, and that's just for when he does Among Us. I go to Um, I go to a G4 live stream and they're doing LARPing for whatever reason. And it was some of the most half-assed LARPing I have ever seen in my life. And I've played D&D back since high school. And these people are barely pulling in several thousand views. I remember I went into one stream that said they had between 15 and 20,000, but there was zero conversation in the actual the chat. None. That's concerning. So, G4 shut down because it was no longer financially viable. Well, I'd argue that the product sucking and being mediocre was part of it. Frost alienating the audience by making her rant, making it about her, um, which is automatically going to turn people off because it's like there are guys watching this who are like, I don't know who you are, but now I don't, I can't, I can't relate to you in any way now. Because now basically what you're saying is if you're not part of our immediate solution or our grand idea, you're part of the problem and don't watch. And you got Adam Sealboy Sessler clapping her on, which I want to give you a mindset as I want to give you the idea of the kind of person that Adam Sessler is. He is a very very one note person. He is very much into his Twitter, and he's also, how do I want to put this, a giant raging prick. Like, I'm just looking at some of the stuff he posts, and this dude just loves to throw shade at people. Like, he loves to argue with people about politics. Um, like, I'm just trying to find something, and I'll get to the one I thought was pretty damning. Right, like he did this less than a day ago. Someone named Leonard Wituck ats Adam Sessler and says, got woke and went broke." So he goes on and says, "Do you," and I'm gonna censor myself here. "Do you f-wits have one writer who only knows one rhyme? Also, like a real adult, in parentheses, unlike your mom, I have multiple incomes. Go f a sheep again, you desperate Nazi." Okay. Um, Mr. Nobody responds, "Oh, responds to him, "Oh, wow. So we're embracing a stereotype and unironically using Nazi as an insult for people who disagree with us. Adam, while we're over here being quote unquote adults, maybe you would just grow a thicker skin and not lower ourselves to your mom jokes. Just a thought." He says, his response, "Your mom's got thick skin." I mean, okay. This dude is such a dick. He's such a dick. I'm sorry. I don't know how anyone gets behind this asshole. Almost 213,000 followers on Twitter. I guess a lot of people are just really are so desperate. Someone added him yesterday. "Do you have a YouTube or a Twitch channel? If not, definitely consider starting, my man. We definitely follow. You don't need corpo to hold you back. You've always been an inspiration as far as game reviews." Okay. His response, "Nah, I'm old and comfortable. That's pretty much it. Unknown to some retainer inhalers, I have other investments than a quote unquote job. I'm out of the game until I'm interested. For now, I'm not interested." Someone responded, "Was it worse than last time?" I think they're referring to when G4 shut down originally. He goes, "No, just stupider." No, that's the prime example of get woke, go broke. 13 hours ago, he says, "Big shout out tonight to those who run G4 for making my life more miserable than usual when I have barely been working for them in the first place. In for a penny, in for a pounding for your BS." Wow. One guy said, "Get woke, go broke." He responded, Are you all from West Virginia or something and think you have to abide by what your boss tells you to get his currency?" Wow, what a dick. Uh, like the dude is such an asshole. Like it's not even clever or interesting insults. This dude is literally just responding to people who are mad at the situation. And yeah, there are people who are outright going after him, but like the dude's a prick. And yeah, it is kind of go woke, go broke. They wanted to appeal to that virtue signaling mentality. And in turn, doing that, you alienate your audience. Not everyone who wants to watch G4 and be involved in G4 wants to be involved with your line of thinking, your politics, who you vote for, what you support, X, Y, and Z. And this dude literally is calling people Nazis that disagree with him and thinking that they're all from West Virginia or something like that's some kind of insult. And like the dude is so out of touch. But like for the grand finale is like the dude has made open comments talking about how he'd wish his Republican family members would die. What? Dude, come on. I have Democrat family members, I have independent family members, progressive, you name it. I don't wish death on them. I don't wish harm on them. I very I very rarely use the term Republican to refer to myself and how I vote. I've always felt myself to be straddling the line between conservative and independent. I hold the Constitution near and dear to my heart. Um, I think there's people on both sides of the political spectrum that need to be completely uprooted from the government. But that's the thing. Frost is the kind of person that G4 wants. He's the kind of person that Adam Sessler would support. So, and it's funny how she would go on and talk about how, like, people don't give her the fair shake of it because she's a woman and she's not as easy on the eyes as previous female co hosts. Yet, a month or two later, they would literally have content where they would bring on a female Twitch streamer who is known for bikini live streams in order to boost views and get people over there and spend money. So I'd call that hypocritical. Call it what you will. I think it's freaking ridiculous. Um so I'd say between the fact that like that's the mentality they had. Oh, and then there was I can't find the quote right now. I'm pretty sure this genius, this Titan among men has changed. He's probably deleted his post. Excuse me. Has changed his probably deleted it and basically went on to blame the decline on alt-right trolls. I don't think he used the term Nazis. Said it was because of them that they went under. Frost released a comment talking about how she was never supported, never this, never that. I'm like, no, they supported you. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. The product wasn't delivering. The faces on the product were not faces that people as a whole want to take in. So, when you create a product that already is having issues beyond the nostalgia to attract fans, and remember, their YouTube channel had under 100,000 subscribers in less than a year. That number, they should have easily gotten that silver play button within like 6 months. The product sucked. Their Twitch streams were garbage. I'm sorry. I'm sure they had some content here or there that might have been good. I had not seen it. You had people working for them who went out of their way on social media to insult other people who did not agree with them. We're seeing this now with people working for the new realm at Disney. And I'm not trying to make this a political rant, but like you got people who are like working on She-Hulk who are literally going out of their way and just blindly name calling anyone who doesn't get on board with their product. And I'm like, do you not know what a difference of opinion is? Ignore the people. Or better yet, try to turn on some charm and get them to watch your product. I'll never understand that line of thinking from people, and I'm getting loud because I'm getting passionate. I'll never understand that line of thinking from people where you think you're going to get this amazing, overwhelming audience because the product that you have was handed to you from either nostalgia or previous content creators or whatever. You then go out of your way to custom tailor make it to your own way, and then either directly or indirectly through the people involved in it, or through social media. You go out of your way to alienate your audience, to insult them, and anyone who thinks differently about their product, or anyone who has criticisms of the product, because even the good stuff people complain about. Rather than just sticking by your product and hanging your head up high and handling yourself with a little bit of class. We live in an area of instant gratification on the internet, and we have to all be liked by everyone at the same time, and that's not how the world works. It's not how the world is going to work. All the Adam Sesslers of the world who literally just sit and troll people on the internet who are coming after him, and I mean, yes, he has that right. He can do whatever he wants. But, like, this is also the same guy who clearly is, like, who knows the fact that he is marketable on name alone. He feels like he doesn't need to be convenienced with a job. I love how he put job in parentheses. I don't know if that was referring to what his tenure was at G4, or the fact that he feels as though he's above an actual standard job. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a combination of the two, because he seems like a plucky asshole. But it was all doomed to happen. Unfortunately, it was all doomed to happen. He was It was not going to go well. It wasn't. The product was not doing anything. It wasn't evolving. It wasn't getting better. They weren't adding to it. They couldn't refine what they wanted to do. And I was having this conversation, and I'm like, and the worst part about it, in this conversation I was having with someone on Facebook, I feel really bad for the people who lost their jobs, who otherwise just wanted to work at G4. I'm not talking about the ones who are so outspoken to the point where they basically put themselves in that position where they didn't have a choice. Like, Frost lost her job before the layoffs because she was basically mocking the people that got fired the first wave of layoffs. I don't believe that she stepped down. No, I believe they told her that this is going to look bad for us and you need to go. And that really says something about them. She says she wasn't supported. No, they supported her after her first rant. They supported her afterwards. Unfortunately, she didn't do a whole lot of anything after the fact. And then when you go out of your way to mock people that are being thrown out the door in the first round of layoffs, and then yeah, you mock them through memes on Twitter, and then yeah, I'm sure the people working there are like, that has brought more harm on the product than you may think, and people already have an issue with you. So you got to go. And that's what I think happened. They're like, you got to go. I genuinely feel bad for the people who lost their job. I really do. I feel bad for the people who lost their job unexpectedly. Gerard, he didn't even know about him losing his job until he saw the Twitter post from the CEO or from a higher up in the company. That's how he found out. He was one of the hosts on one of their shows, and that's how he found out. I'll be honest. I don't even I didn't had Frost not said anything, I would have felt bad about her losing her job to a degree. Um, because I also say that if you go out of your way to deliberately insult people and make it about you, people are going to see through it. People are going to see through the virtue signaling, and they're just immediately going to sign off because video gaming in of itself is escapist fantasy. That's what we do to get away from the real world. And I cannot tell you how annoying it is where I am constantly having to listen to people inject their personal political opinions or whatever into the media that I'm entertaining that is completely neutral of that. Checking my daughter's Class Dojo app to see how she's doing. One of the many benefits of parenting: following, listening the rules, share answer correctly, do your best. Oh, someone's going for the gold. Somebody wants that McDonald's on Friday. That was the deal I made with my daughter. Because we don't go to McDonald's on Sundays anymore after church. I told her that if she does well in school, now she's in kindergarten, so obviously I tell her, I'm like, you do your best, but ultimately I just mean pay attention and don't scream. If she can do well and she doesn't get down dojos, but are like negative points for doing things you shouldn't do, then I treat her to McDonald's on Friday when she gets out of school. And I think it's two down dojos. If she gets two of them throughout the week, then we don't go. And I think the other one was, and if you get one the day of, then we don't go, because I don't want her to think that because I don't want her to think that she has a safety net on Friday to be, a pain. So no, she's doing good. Did got some points. Good for her. So I mean, it's being talked to death. It really has. You know, I would have loved G for it if it could have done well. But again, from the content I did see, that's not what it wanted to do. I don't want to see Amaranth in a bikini dancing around in a ball pit for the better for any period of time, because this is their way of trying to get content. Like, I'm sorry, what about that whole rant on how women don't exist to be eyes or be easy on the eyes, but yet here's one of the top earners on Twitch whose literal sole purpose is to be easy on the eyes for men. It's ridiculous. Um, I feel good now. I feel better. I incur anyone who disagrees with anything I say, that's fine. Let me know in comments if you want. Anyone who watches live, let me know live. I went at a weird time. I had a couple of people peter in and out, and because I'm willing to accept a different opinion, a different viewpoint. But I'm not going to sit here and scream at people for how wrong they are for not having the same opinion as me. I mean, if I were to do that, I can make another live feed in which I tell anyone that if you're not a Jets fan, you're horrible monsters of reality and mankind, and you need to be banished to the island of misfit toys. I say that, and we're playing Denver next weekend, so I'm trying not to hold my breath. So that's gonna do it for this live stream. It was fun doing this again. It was fun, good fun. Next week to be determined on what we talk about. Hopefully, whatever I do have to talk about doesn't have to come at the expense of people losing their jobs. So, y'all have a wonderful Tuesday. Take care of yourselves. Remember, be kind and courteous out there because you never know who's going to need it at the end of the day. And I'm sure that's how you'd want to be treated too. So, take care.